California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors. On Monday, he urged cities to ban the camps from sidewalks, parks, and other public areas. So after years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on a condom as you're leaving a whorehouse.
Greg Gutfeld went after Gavin Newsom with full force, tearing away the shiny image and exposing the harsh truth underneath. In one of his most intense monologues yet, he called out Newsom's double standards, shaky plans, and the carefully crafted persona he tries to maintain. And this wasn't a handful of witty lines or a lighthearted jab, but a full political unraveling that Newsom clearly never saw coming, so buckle up. This was Gutfeld without limits.
So Newsom is fed up with tent cities, the crime, the urban decay? No, he's not mad about that stuff. He's mad you noticed. It's like a criminal telling a jury he's sorry he robbed 25 banks, but he's just sorry he got caught on the 26th. Because this isn't some spontaneous crisis. It's a man-made disaster like Chernobyl or Fox and Friends.
Like every other evening, it started on the Gutfeld stage. Bright lights, a coffee mug, and that familiar smile. But tonight's plans weren't working out. Gutfeld showed up prepared to face California's political golden kid, Gavin Newsom.
Took common sense as his high ground. There's no place outside of it. And so they're stuck in this horrible, horrible place, much like you, Jamie, in your life. As California falls apart, it must remind you somewhat of your own personal life.
Yeah. Sometimes I look at footage of California and I go, oh, look how much better it is.
Naturally, there are faults with all that polish that are easily disregarded. Behind his carefully crafted character comes a long history of errors that Newsom would prefer no one to talk about. Gutfeld didn't just mention them, he chased after them with great vigor. He ruined Newsom's gleaming reputation like a badly revised script. For years, Newsom has depended on his professional presentations, appealing appearance, and progressive branding, but the disparity between his image and reality can no longer be disregarded.
Why do I keep bringing up Gavin? Well, other than my respect for his work in American Psycho, he's starting to distance himself from his party's worst ideas. Newsom, a guy who hates fossil fuels but can still bring down the price of gas by wringing out his hair, once proclaimed that his state would be a sanctuary to all who seek it.
Newsom speaks language like he's giving a TED presentation, smiles like he's filming a toothpaste commercial, and struts around as if California is flourishing under his leadership. However, things are collapsing outside the governor's residence, and Gutfeld wasn't letting it go.
Play order with authoritarianism, you get chaos and destruction. So if restoring order is evil, then the Dems are now the party of disorder. Turns out the only system they had was wokeism, and that it rotted any basic principles the party had to begin with. Which is why, like Gavin himself, they're left looking at 2028's hopes going up in flames. And this time, no one is going to help them.
Gutfeld tore apart the polished exterior to expose the fundamental problems. While the state is drowning in homelessness and entire streets are being turned into outdoor camps, Newsom boasts that California is a model of success. Because of the high taxes, even Elon Musk moved to Texas. These days, smash and grabs are typical. Stores are left in rubble and carjackings appear to be almost casual. Gutfeld didn't need to embellish. The facts were adequate.
His track record, his performance as mayor, as lieutenant governor, and governor. And your analogies are great. I think mine are better. And just hold on. And here's why. He shows up at the fires and says, who the hell caused this? I'm going to crack down on the people responsible. He sees the homeless encampments blocking the sidewalks and said, you guys clean that up. He started it. He spent $3 million to fix it. And his opening words in 2020 when I got the job is a disgrace. The richest state in the country and the richest nation of the world has a homeless problem. I will fix it. He spent $1 billion when it's not fixed. He blames the mayors, and he also forced the movie industry and Silicon Valley out of the best state in the country by high taxes. I've never seen someone such a bad performance, but yet I think he's the front runner to get the nomination for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. They got nobody else to run. Welcome back.
At that, Gutfeld applied further pressure. He called it pure theater. Newsom is acting as the nation's moral leader while ignoring the disaster taking place at home. Gutfeld made the difference quite clear. Newsom criticizes Florida for its book bans, while pupils in California find it difficult to read. Despite the fact that there are a lot of poor and despairing people on his own streets, he also attacks Texas for its abortion laws.
So last week, Newsom said he hopes the conservative Supreme Court will overturn the current law that bans his state from removing out-of-control homeless encampments. Imagine that. Well, what did you expect, Gavin? That the sanctuary seekers were going to show up in Winnebagos? Once again, another example of a high-profile lib using his big mouth to write a check his ass can't cash. Last year, after the Texas Governor Abbott ordered that parents of transitioning children should face criminal investigation, Newsom then tweeted this: "Trans kids and their families should be celebrated, not targeted by the state. They are heroes." And so to fearful families in Texas right now, California's door is open.
Gutfeld grinned while outlining how California's middle class is fading away, with small shops shutting down for good as Silicon Valley and Hollywood's wealthy circles continue living comfortably behind their guarded walls. Meanwhile, Newsom keeps flashing a camera-ready smile as if none of the hardship around him exists, yet Gutfeld wasn't simply aiming for laughs. He was delivering a message that families aren't leaving the state for a change of scenery, but because staying has become impossible, and once loyal businesses are packing up for places where taxes and rules don't weigh them down.
What do you think about Gavin Newsom? What's going on there?
I don't know. I don't know how they bump out Kamala to be put a white male in there and take her out. She's got too much of an ego to just step aside. Mm-hmm. She's going to go crazy if they try to do that.
Plus, she had a strong 2% support, so
yeah,
get that.
Yeah, but she's waiting for that spot to just open for her, and then you put a white male in there. Yeah, there's no. I don't know how they're going to. I mean, they did it to Bernie. They threw him under the bus two, presidential ones in a row. They just gave him a couple extra houses in Vermont. Oh yeah, you got some extra money. But I don't know how they could do it.
Yeah, it'd be great if they threw her under the bus because she really likes buses. Remember?
Economic progress propped up by illusions, climate actions shaped more for spotlight than real impact, and kindness that appears only when the cameras roll. Gutfeld's final comparison pulled it all together, saying Newsom's California resembles a grand estate that shines from afar with bright windows and perfect lawns. Yet the moment you step inside, you find mold on the walls, a cracked foundation, and a roof ready to cave in. Beneath the polished exterior lies deep decay, a place held up by catchy slogans instead of real answers. And the audience reacted instantly, not because the imagery was bold, but because it rang true.
It's used to sell maps of celebrity homes, not landmines. Now, instead of sightseeing, tourists play hopscotch so their shoes don't get hepatitis. And when residents complain, they're called cruel. And now we're supposed to believe Gavin? Hell no. All the problems in the last decade were based on his and his party's lies.
The crowd wasn't laughing for amusement. They were laughing because they recognized the truth, the kind people sense, but rarely hear spoken aloud. Somewhere, Newsom was likely grinning, convinced no television host could genuinely challenge him, but he underestimated Gutfeld, who didn't just expose weaknesses, he shattered Newsom's political image and highlighted his larger national ambitions, arguing that the real danger isn't one state's poor leadership, but the possibility of that same leadership spreading nationwide. And if California is the trial run, then Newsom is the experimenter, and the rest of America becomes the next subject.
Then came the national polling. By overwhelming majorities, it turns out Americans don't favor minors transitioning. So last week, when a California law was proposed that judges in custody cases favor the parent who supports transitioning a child's new gender, Newsom killed that law quicker than a late-term abortion. Yeah, I know, huh? Now the left, being the left, was outraged, but they missed something, because now Newsom says he only vetoed it since it's already the law.
Feld ended the piece with a calm mic drop, a small smile, a drink of coffee, and a glance into the camera, stating, "We're on to you, Gavin." The entire takedown was noteworthy for reasons other than the jokes. It was the accuracy and the way Gutfeld disclosed the information without raising his voice. He gave viewers a tour of what California has become, a state where stores close because of unchecked crime, where tech billionaires walk over human trash to enter upscale restaurants, and where fundamental order has vanished. With every case, the lesson became clearer.
And it ponders why Dems lost.
We lost. We lost the popular vote, and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed.
And we need to be humble about that, and we need to have some grace, and we need to understand why. Was it because of the incumbency penalty? Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote unquote, woke? Was it because of issues with Israel? Was it all of the above? I think we are going through that forensic. We need to understand at the same time, we also have to push back against the whitewaters and headwinds.
Newsom enforced strict lockdowns, mask rules, and the shutdown of churches, schools, and small businesses. Yet, when Gutfeld brought up his mask-free lunch at the French Laundry with California's elite, he didn't need to exaggerate. The situation was so outrageous that simply stating it revealed the imbalance, and the audience laughed not out of amusement, but because the unfairness was unmistakable. When he talked about the wave of Californians leaving the state, their reaction came from recognizing a harsh truth, since people weren't moving for fun, but escaping a government that made everyday life harder. And the sharpest part of Gutfeld's message was the ease with which he stripped away Newsom's polished image by exposing his double standard.
Wolf voters is the classic wolf in sheep's hair gel. Just watch him answer the tough questions.
Any other questions here?
Yes, Governor. California has a terrible homeless problem. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. And I think it's a matter of perspective. Let's kind of flip the script on that, okay? Let's kind of put a new lens on that. I mean, you see a homeless man. I see an outdoorsman. We got a lot of natural habitat in this state, and I'm just so proud that so many people in California can take advantage of that.
Gutfeld went on to sketch a portrait of a politician who strikes poses for the camera and mocks other states while using staged anger to boost his national image, insisting that behind the stylish exterior sits an empty political figure. He then touched on the growing talk that Newsom might pursue the presidency, noting that the idea of a governor struggling to control his own state wanting to guide the entire nation was almost humorous on its own. Yet Gutfeld didn't rely on shouting or name-calling. He used clear, steady points where every line, pause, and hint of irony highlighted one simple reality. This wasn't leadership, but advertising. And even the advertising was falling apart, allowing him to dismantle Newsom's image with calm confidence, wit, and quiet honesty, leaving a blow so strong that, as Gutfeld joked from a California setting, Newsom was likely still trying to figure out what struck him, because Greg Gutfeld had simply pointed to the truth hiding in plain sight.